Tekrar merhaba. İkinci oturumumuz başlayacak şimdi. Gördüğünüz gibi sahne bomboş. Çok keyifli bir seans için sizleri davet ediyoruz. Buyurun. MillerKnoll will be on stage with Future of Work, Putting Relationships at the Core, titled by Bertie van Wyk. I think it's right. Okay. Bertie is a workplace experience leader with 20 years driving employee engagement and workplace design across EMEA markets. He works on creating inclusive, high-performance work environments that boost productivity and retention. Expert in hybrid workplace strategies, RTO, and translating employee insights and global research into actionable workplace improvements. His talk focuses on building inclusive, high-performance workplaces that respond to evolving employee expectations. So, Bertie, stage is yours.
Thank you very much for that lovely introduction. What a stage. This is incredible. First time to have a round stage. I'll try and make sure I engage and talk to all of you. But before I jump in, I've got a little bit of a tricky question to ask you. And don't worry, you don't have to repeat or say anything out loud. I want to ask you, how are you feeling right now? Specifically, how much energy do you have? We're almost 3 o'clock, and I'm wondering, do you have a lot of energy building up, or are you coming down? If you're a morning person like me, we're getting to the end of how much energy we actually have. And if you're an evening person, you're in peak position. And I just want to show all of you in this room just how different all of you are and what the impact of that actually is. So if you think you are a type B, chrono B person, as in you don't like to start early in the morning like I do. You like to start probably around about 10, maybe even 11, and you're happy to work a little bit later. Can you just raise your hand if you think you're a type B? Type B, got a few here, there. It's usually half. It's usually half. Now let me tell you how important that actually is and what that means. For you type B persons, and I got science to back this up, because last week I saw Dr. Camilla Kring talk about chronology. This type B person, you first thing in the morning is working at the same brain capacity as someone that's had 1, 2, or 3 glasses of wine, beer, anything like that. And for us morning people, type A, after 3 o'clock, my IQ can drop by 1/3. So why is that actually important? Especially for the leaders in this team, in this group. Specifically, think about this. Why would I arrange a big team meeting at 9 o'clock in the morning if half of the people are checked out? Why would I arrange a massive team meeting at 4 o'clock in the afternoon when I know half of the people, again, aren't going to be able to pay any attention? So something as simple as our chrono A or chrono B means we have a different way that we experience the world of work. The problem is, a lot of the times, you're types chrono A like myself that likes to set the rules and go, everyone has to be in early. But you can rethink this. You can rethink your strategy. For instance, no big team meetings before 10 o'clock in the morning. How amazing would that be? No big team meetings after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Just a simple, basic rule that can completely change the engagement within your organization. Everyone okay with that? Good, let's jump straight in. I'm here from MillerKnoll. There you can see all the lovely brands that we have under our umbrella. We're the world's largest research, design, and furniture manufacturer. And we're here today in that corner, and if I could ask all the lovely people from co-design, if you could just raise your hand for the invitation. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you being here. If you want to come have a conversation with us, you'll know where to find us. So first thing is, are we attached? Are we attached? To be honest, we've never met, which means realistically we have no attachment whatsoever. But I've got 2 colleagues sitting over there that I see all the time. And when you've seen people a lot of time, what happens with these relationships is they turn into what psychologists call a strong tie. More trust, better collaboration, which is fantastic. But for you to have a really good experience, even within a work environment, you also need weak ties, which is everyone else that you have the opportunity to meet and connect with within an environment. Now, we form these connections with people, strong ties, weak ties. We form the same connection with places. And if you don't believe that's true, just think about what would happen if someone were to come and sit at your favorite seat in front of the TV. That is your spot. That's known as place attachment. We have the same connections with environments and spaces as we do with people. And what influences that is the amount of time that we spend with that person or with that place, the intensity of the relationship between that person or that place, and then the reciprocal nature. What do I get back from that person and that place? And the environments we design directly impact your health, your well-being, and your productivity. Let's go on. I just want to share you very quickly just our team. I'm the lucky one that gets to travel all across the world and share our research. I was born in South Africa, went to University of South Africa. I live in London, but I get to travel the whole world and tell people about the great things, the great research that's out there, and also what doesn't work. So if you have any good questions for the end, ask also what doesn't work, which is always very, very interesting. So our history, Knoll planning unit, space planning comes from the Knoll side from 1964. The Miller Research Corporation came from 1960s. That's where you get ergonomics from. That's where you get facilities management from. Those two combined, of course, makes MillerKnoll. Now on that slide, I'm not sure you'll be able to read any of the little detail, but basically, this is a graph showing from the Future Forum data just how burned out the average person is. And it's shocking. And the top one, you might not be able to see, is going above 50. This is all through the pandemic. And the Future Forum is Boston Consultancy, Slack, MLT, and then us, MillerKnoll. We did tons and tons of research. The data slightly started equalizing out so we can make better prediction. But the problem we have is that people are burning out. And then you would ask me, why should I care if people are lonely? And people are lonely in the offices themselves. Engagement is very much linked to this. If I'm very lonely, I'm not highly engaged. And the reason you should all care about it, being in Turkey, is because according to Gallup's State of the Workplace 2026, Turkey's engagement number is at 8%. Now you wonder, what does that mean? It means 8% of the average company, employees, wants to be there and delivers on a consistently high level. 92% is what we call quiet quitting. So loneliness is something you need to care about. And those of you that are in the positions, in the place of being able to manage these spaces, design these spaces, you have a direct impact on how people perceive that environment. Let's go on. So we're still lonely at work. The key thing we understand here is even post-pandemic, we realized that data didn't go down. Even though a lot of people went back into offices, the loneliness still stayed up, and still went much, much higher. This is a really good article from Inc. that says, your employees are disengaged and lonely. And I'm going to try and read you just a little snippet from this, if I can, from here. Even without the isolation of COVID-19, the workplace has, for many, become a slog, rather than a place where people make friends, meet their spouses, or find their sense of identity. And the key thing here, they quote Gallup's State of the Workplace report here. They said, employees worldwide reported feeling stressed, sad, anxious, and disengaged on the job. This is worrying. And this is across the board. It's not just unique to Turkey. Now, the big question for us is the remote work paradox. The more flexible, the less flexible. Getting the right balance is really important, but we want to do it right. Because we know we can have higher engagement. We want to avoid having lower well-being scores. But then I want to ask you, as things are going on, do you think AI is going to increase loneliness or decrease loneliness? Think by yourself. Because there is a new report out from Upwork that showed that if you are a highly engaged AI employee, so you use AI every single day, your chances of burning out is 88%. And that loneliness, that burnout means I spend so much time either on my own or working from home or so much time on a screen that I do not connect or build relationships with others. The other thing that the Upwork report brought out that said if you're a high AI user, you're twice as likely to burn out and quit your job. So we need to sort this out, because what we want to avoid is this. I don't want to be remote and on screen. I don't want to be hybrid and on screen. I don't want to be in the office and on screen. We need purposeful engagements. We need to understand what relationships actually mean when we're in the office. Now, a very interesting data point from the Future Forum shows us that 85% of employees want time in the actual office. They want to be in the office, even if it's with some kind of flexibility. Now, the key thing here is, what is the purpose of these spaces? Why did we create offices in the first instance? It's to drive value. We know we do better when we get people to come together and innovate and create. That's why we do this. But the key word here I want to focus on is value. What is the value we're getting out of that space? Not how busy is it on Friday. The amount of times I meet senior leaders and they go, oh, it was quiet on Friday. And I go, well, how was Monday? Oh, it was busy. Tuesday, great. Wednesday, super busy. Thursday, there wasn't even enough space. Then why do you care about Friday? When we're so ingrained in pure data, where we look at, for instance, what's the occupancy rate of that specific meeting room? It's 1 hour in a day. Now, on paper, that could mean that's a very low utilization. We should get rid of that room. But if you look at value, what happens in that room? If that's the one room where you're presenting to clients, where you're pitching and winning business, and everything comes from the meetings in that space, it's a high-value space. So we need to understand value, not how busy is it on Friday. Oop. There we go. Next up, we got the top drivers for coming into the office for both non-executives and executives. In this questionnaire, people will ask, what is the main reason you choose to go into an office? And this is where the data gets interesting. The biggest numbers, you might not be able to read it from here, is collaboration. It is building camaraderie, in-person meetings, and then also the opportunity to do focused work without interruptions. And if you ask the managers the same question, again, it's collaboration, it's building camaraderie, it's in-person meetings. So we know that there's a theme here. People strive. They want other connections with other people. They don't want to come in and be isolated in a corner and never see anyone else. If we look at slightly newer data from 2024, the enticing workplace, the factors most likely to draw people to the office are teamwork, socializing, and then building meaningful connections, as well as access to the spaces that supports those interactions. And there are some of the numbers. So if you were to think about the office that you're in right now, or you're thinking about the office that you might be designing, how well does this support people's ability to do great teamwork, to be able to socialize, and from that socialization, be able to build meaningful connections. Next up, we got a really interesting piece. Now, Google did a bit of research on this, and they looked at what's the biggest driver, what drives the most amount of value for an organization. And they came up going, it's innovation. And now they thought, well, what makes innovation? What do we need to have great innovation? And this is a lady from Harvard called Amy Edmondson. She did loads of research with us and additional research, and she came up with the concept of team psychological safety. And what Google said was, for you to have the most productive, highest performing teams that are incredibly innovative, they need to have team psychological safety. They should be allowed to be able to make mistakes. They should have trust. They should have quality connections with each other. Now think about what that means if you're fully remote. Think about what that means if you have no connections with the team members. That 5 minutes before the call, that 10 minutes after the meeting where you discuss those things that were just on your mind, but you didn't feel okay to say it in the meeting, but happy to share after. So psychological safety is the cornerstone of driving business wealth. So let's talk about how and what we should do. How do we develop and grow relationships? Because for us, this is the future of work. This is the future. Every office has a climate of social expression that can either be destructive or constructive. And to a large degree, this is affected by the physical expression we give it. Just quickly think by yourself. Have you ever worked in an office that sucked? That was a terrible experience. And then go and work in another space where you go, oh, I am happy I arrived. I'm happy to be here. That is a really, really, really big difference. So you might have experienced this yourself. And for those of you that design the environments, that design the workplace strategy around that, you are the person responsible for creating that feeling. So what we want to do is we understand that it is a collective endeavor. Modern work depends on relationships to influence business outcomes. So how do we create this and how do we design this? Currently, what we do is we use activity-based working. For any designers, we understand that this is kind of the cornerstone of how we create these spaces. This started back in 1983. Then in 1995, the term activity-based working got coined, and we now perceive it as to be a really good guide for designing and creating great spaces. So for those of you with a bit more of a visual idea of absorbing information, imagine this block on the screen as a floor space. Now, how we created spaces in the past, or how we create spaces now, is each one of those blocks is an activity. It's all in the name, activity-based working. So I design a space for you to go here, do that activity, the space here, go do that activity, and you as the human move between all of that. We want to upgrade that. It's a good base, but we want to put another layer on top of that. And we call this relationship-based work. And what I want you to do in this instance, imagine, if you see the pink balls, there's a solid line between them. That is your strong ties. That is your immediate team. This is the people that you connect with all the time. You know them, you engage, you trust them. And the green ones have dotted lines around them. And with this is your weak ties. We design an opportunity that ensures that you will meet other team members, that you will talk to them, that you will bump into them, and that there's also an opportunity for you to either work alone or get a little bit of a time to go, I can rest. So let's see how this is done. Activities have become untethered. Today's desk-based workers can complete their work tasks from almost anywhere. So what's the purpose of these offices? And there's a really good research piece on this done in the US, where there was a company with 3,000 employees, and they tracked the full connection of network growth, especially through email, of all of these team members. So they saw when one person met another person and how their communications grow and what they learn from each other and how that growed organically within the organization themselves. Then the pandemic happened. In 18 months, they had to work from home. And those connections that they saw started diminish, shrinking at a rapid pace. Anyone new joining the company formed no external connections whatsoever, and everything shrunk. And as soon as the pandemic ended, they moved back in a phased way. They could see those networks start growing. So we know that there's a great value of having quality time together within the same space. I am not saying you need to be in the same space 5 days a week. What I am saying that even if it's 2, 3, or 4 days, ensure that you do spend quality time with the same team members at the same time. So, we understand the office is no longer the only place where people go to complete their work tasks. However, the office remains the best place for the types of work facilitated by strong interpersonal relationships. So let's look at how we do this. If you want to imagine activity is to interaction as relationships is to connections, the key difference here is time. Activity and interactions, I plan for it, I want that to happen now. Add loads of time, you get relationships and real, meaningful connections. So how we design for activity and interactions, what we do is we create a variety of spaces. And if you might be in a space that doesn't have variety, you feel the pain. Because variety of spaces solves so many issues. Oh, it's too hot here, or in many instances, if the facilities manager is a man, it's too cold in here, I can choose to go sit somewhere else, problem solved. I'm sitting and working here, it's so noisy, someone's talking right next to me, you're giving me variety and choice, I can go sit somewhere else, and I can be productive. Problem solved. Or, we have different sensory needs, how much light I can stand, whether I'm okay with someone walking past me or not, because we don't know what people's lived experiences are. But now you give me variety and choice, and I can choose to sit somewhere that's going to make me feel good. So great solutions. What we want to do now is layer on spatial configuration and participatory design. And let me show you what that means in practice. Let's quickly talk about designing with, not just for employees. The best companies in the world do something called a team level agreement or team working agreement. You can find this online. It's available for free on the Future Forum. And what happens is you as a team, you sit together and you go, us three will go, what do you do? What do you do? What do I do? We write everything down and we go, what part of our job is best done in the same space at the same time? Oh, it's actually this, this, this. Now we've done something that no other workplace strategist has done to any organization ever in the world. We're explaining why we're going into the office. So if I have to sit into traffic, I know I'm going to be able to do great additional work, avoid 7 extra meetings because I'm going to be with you. That's the power of team level agreements. We can find a balance. Oh, you've got kids to drop off in the morning. You've got an elderly parent to look after in the evening. Let's make sure that we're core hours in the same space at the same time. From at least 10 till 3, we'll make sure that we sit in the same space. That's the power of team working agreements. And by the way, no one likes to be told by their company, you have to do this. Whether it's 5 days, 4 days, 3 days, or 2 days, your disagreement with that feels exactly the same. So team level agreements where you go, we've got the needs of the organization and the needs of the individuals, we combine those because it can't just be about the individuals. We create a good team level. Us as a team, we know how we work. We work different than the IT department. We work different than the marketing department. And we create our own working system. Massively increases engagement. And that is a number we're chasing. Informal feedback surveys. Now, you get these major annual surveys or 2 or 3 year surveys. We do pre or post surveys. So, oh, we're about to move. How do you feel about this? Rated 1 to 10. Go on, 3 hours of filling this thing in and you don't see any results. Informal feedback surveys, 3, 4 times a year, 6 questions, just getting information back out from employees to go, this is how I feel about this. This is how I feel about that. Things that allow you to make those changes that's needed immediately within that environment. That is so incredibly powerful and very, very simple. Just for anyone doing change management, never ask a question to employees if their answer isn't going to affect what you do anyway. Rather not put the question in at all. I've seen that backfire too many times. And then one of the best elements, especially for larger organizations, is ERG, enterprise resource groups, or business resource groups. We got a very large organization. We have a business resource group which just looks after the Women's Alliance. So I'm part of that. Everyone throughout the whole business, we got 340 members. It's separate from our job, and we look, how do we improve the whole world of work for women within our organization and outside? It's incredible. We have the same, we've got 500 members on the sustainability BRG, the new parents BRG, and the reason it's important to engage with these team members, because a lot of organizations have them, is they give you different types of responses. They talk to you in a different way. If I have to give you an answer on a questionnaire that you give me because I'm an accountant, I'm going to give you that specific answer. Ask me that as a parent, totally different answers, totally different motivations. That is a big cheat code for getting much better results and insights into how to create a better space. Next up, I've already discussed place attachment, so let's get to the juicy bits. We're talking about a matrix of interactions, and it doesn't matter where in the world I go. It can be Kenya, it can be Boston, it can be Argentina, it can be any specific place. This is a really good starting point, because we have interactions with others in these three types of sections. You can almost imagine it as a layout within an organization. As a community, so me and my team meet others from other teams in a community space. What opportunities do we create? What relationships do we design for you to meet people outside of your team? Then on the group stage, that's for 2 or more people. What opportunities am I designing and creating for relationships to grow within strong ties, within your immediate team? Or, like I've seen many times, I go to an office, the same team is scattered over 7 floors and everyone's joining the same video call in the same office. That is not relationship-based design. And then, of course, we understand that you might need an opportunity to get individual focused work done or to go, I can take a break. So let's layer on a few more elements. So within those interactions, and it's going to get a slightly bit more complicated before it gets a little bit more easier, we understand that in those environments, you sometimes talk about doing the work. We call it exchange and reflect. It's talking about doing the work. It's not doing the work. And then within those same spaces or different environments, you have the opportunity to be able to go and do some work, head down, focus work. So I'm going to layer a few more things onto this because it's all interchangeable. And what we're going to end up with is this, a slight mini little blueprint. And I just want you to imagine that the top right-hand corner, it says individual and it says restoration for that space. The blue dot is the individual and the empty square, that is the type of work that you're doing. So we're identifying and saying that you sometimes just need a space where you can go, I don't need to do work here. I can relax. I can think about something else. I can pick up the phone and deal with something that my kid did at school. There's an opportunity for you to be able to take a break. A lot of times people go, oh, you mean the corridors or outside? Like, that's not what I mean. I mean a total restoration space. Below that, for the individual, if we want to look at the produced level, that is focus work. I want to be able to sit down, do focus work without overhearing anyone else on a video call. Can you do that? Can you do that in the spaces that you're in? Can you do that in the spaces that you're designing? Because if you can overhear someone else having a video call, you're distracted the whole time. Because you know exactly what they're talking about. You know who they're talking to. You might even get frustrated because they're not getting to the right answers that you are yourself. So we really need to ensure that you have the opportunity when you're going into the office to do the thing that you're being paid to do. That opportunity to be able to do focus work. And if you don't get that right, that's one of the main sources of issues that we see throughout organizations. Next up, we got group. So again, you've got the exchange and reflect, and you've got the produce section. So for group, you've got a meeting. Now imagine this, a meeting isn't all sitting down producing. A meeting is one person speaking and everyone else listening and then contributing and then contributing. That's what a meeting space actually is. If we move away from that, then you get to your team areas, your collaboration spaces where you can work together, break away, work together, break away. Next up, we got socialization, top left-hand corner. Now, socialization, for exchange and reflect, you can see what's missing. There's no square. There's no work. It's an environment and an opportunity for you to go in and go, it's almost like the pub, it's the heart, it's the soul, it's the restaurant, it's the connection space. You can bump and meet anyone and everyone within the organization. And the main purpose isn't work. Below that, if you were to take the same kind of community space and you want to make it work, you can imagine a kind of an assembly space. Big screen coming down, adapt the whole space, company presenting, saying this is our new strategy, or this is some of the changes that we have made. So if we layer on a few more things, there's a few of the things that you can design into the spaces. You can see some of the names. And if you're interested in this, I'll be very happy to send you all the slides afterwards. I'm going to show you some examples. There are many, many more examples of individual, group, and community, specifically for reflect and then produce. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to share with you one or two of these. So let's quickly look at a cafe-type space. In a cafe, community exchange, the main purpose isn't specifically to go and work there. There might be a laptop stand there so that you can have a chat. We're happy with high volume in this environment, highly adaptable, really flexible. But the goal here is I want to grow my weak ties. I know the value of my business grows when I have the opportunity to connect with others within the organization. You don't know where the new great idea is going to come from, but it might come from anyone within the organization. What opportunities am I designing to ensure that that actually will happen? And even for those that likes the alone together type style, where I want to sit on the peripheral, you're not an extrovert like me, you want to sit on those yellow chairs far in the corner, and you want to choose whether you want to participate or not. Giving you that control between the hyper and the hypersensitive means we get so much more out of you. You choose when you're actually engaged. I'm not forcing you to act the same way that I am all the time. So that is community, exchange, and reflect. Let's look at a community for produce. This is a forum type space, and we understand it's super flexible. The key thing, everything is on wheels, but people from different departments have the ability to come and sit and work on something, lay something out. Others can see what you're writing on the board and go, oof, that's a really innovative, cool idea. That might change how we work in the finance department. That's amazing. Let's explore that even further. But you're giving people the opportunity for that in-person connections with members outside of your immediate team. Let's look at, I've got a few more of these that I'll run through. Just a normal conference room, a basic normal conference room for group exchange and reflect. Something that you're certain of. If we book that conference room, we know it's going to have wheelchair access, the whole team can sit together, a very specific, consistent experience. We'll understand that in absolute detail. It's got inclusive design, stability for specific teams. One person's talking, everyone else is engaging, equal experience. Same within group and produce. If you were to look at a workshop type space, here you have the opportunity to come in as a team, everyone focus on one specific point, get all the things you want to work on, contribute, then break away into the separate sections, work on it, and then be able to come back. Neighborhoods are slightly different. So you get neighborhoods for collaboration, and you get neighborhoods for focused work. So if you're pretty much in a marketing type team, this might be the right setting for you. You still need the ability to sit down, do some focused work, but there's a lot of collaboration happening within your team. If you're in finance, or I know a lot of my A&D colleagues in the room might probably be more familiar with environments that look like this, because my individual focus work is the main focus of what needs to get done. I need those double screens. I need that me time as a priority, with all the additional spaces on the peripheral to be able to support our functions. Very, very last one of these before I'll end. We're going to look at respite spaces and study halls. That's very American. I like to call them library. But let's quickly just talk about respite spaces. For individual, either exchange or reflect. The ability for you to be able to take a break. I've mentioned this, and in 3 separate companies, someone has gone, oh, you mean the place where I go and cry? And I'm like, that shouldn't be the case. Like, oh, we always go to the toilets. That shouldn't be the case. We need more environments and spaces for you to deal with what's going on even in normal life, the things outside of work. One of the key things I want to make absolutely unequivocally clear in this room today is we design terrible offices for women. And I do mean terrible. 1 in 5 women going through menopause leave the world of work forever because their office doesn't allow them to go through what they're going through. 1 in 5. That is absolutely terrible. If you want to know more about this, because I can go on for another hour, there's a brilliant book by Caroline Perez. She's got a section just on workplace, on the different experience of women to men. It is shocking. Something as basic as respite opportunities. A room that's not called the well-being room. A room that you can just go and close everything up and deal with something that's going on within your life. A storage unit with your name on next to the showers. And I can go on much longer. But respite spaces is key for us to create a better experience at work. That's individual exchange. Let's look at the last one. Individual produce. And here is the ability, the environment. And if you were to look at that bench there, you might think, oh, that's kind of a team area. It's not a team area. It's not a team bench. In that environment, in that space, no one talks out loud. No one's on a video call. No one will distract you. You're guaranteed when you come into this environment and this space, you're going to be productive. Not a single person will distract you. Now again, for the hyper and the hyposensitive, I am happy to sit around everyone else and do focus work. But for others, they can't do that. They also need visual privacy. So providing both options in that environment, someone that completely take a break away from everyone else and someone that's happy to sit with everyone else is really, really important. But that's individual produce. And again, you were to think, where do we put this in the office? Some organizations dedicate 1/3 of their space to individual focus work and meeting rooms. Others will scatter enough environments close by the team areas to ensure that if you go into that space, no one will distract you. They even sometimes make it bookable. On that note, we've got tons of resources. Feel free to come and engage with us. We will be in the corner over there if you want to have a further conversation. I've got so much information I can share. So if you want to talk about anything around creating better workplaces, feel free to come and engage with us. I'll be happy to send you everything I have. Now, the big question is there time for questions? Who do I ask? I think they're working it out. If anybody's got a question, feel free to put your hand up. I'll come and listen to what you're saying, and I'll repeat it, and I'll try and answer it. Anybody with absolutely any type of question. It can be hard. I'm happy with very difficult questions. I'm picking out. There's a hand. Yes, please. Thank you very much.
Can I just
Yes, please go for it.
Usually in Turkey, the work conditions are problematic because of the people's emotions, I think.
Okay.
Because there's a competitive area
Ooh.
and people are only focused.
So he asked if you could start over again so they can hear the whole question. If you could, thank you.
Yeah, for my observation,
Yes.
I think in Turkey the most problematic thing is the people's emotions during working.
Okay.
Because there's a competitive area which makes people see each other as enemies
Yes.
more than trustable
Yes.
working people.
Yeah.
So this lack of confidence really tires people
Yeah.
in the work business. And people, instead of focusing on work, they focus on who will betray me, who will do what. So
Yeah.
I think this is the
Big
most
problem.
common problem in Turkey, I think.
Thank you very much. I really, really appreciate that. If you can just keep that with you, thank you. So the kind of the toxic environment, that is one of the most difficult things to deal with. We just so happen, if you go into YouTube, Design Perspective, we got a talk on safe spaces. And it basically gets you to rethink what those environments are. And it's a communications piece, and in many instances, it's a workplace change strategy that needs to be done, which is very intense and takes quite a while. It is very difficult to fix it if you don't try anything. And one of the biggest things around, if you watch that video on safe spaces, it gives you some clear guidelines. What are some of the best practices? And if you show people what that actually looks like, how to get them on board. But it's a very, very difficult thing to solve. Hopefully, if you check out the video, it's going to give you some really good details and insights. Anyone else with a question? Yes, I got one over here who's got the mic. As long as I'm okay for time. Am I okay for time? Okay for time?
Yeah.
Cool, thank you. Please.
First, thank you for your talk. And actually, I have a question. We all know like home office working have developed further in the pandemic time. But now if you ask, I'm not going to say everyone, but like most of people, they say they prefer home office. But at the same time, if you ask them during that time, they hated being locked in. So
that is one of the best questions, you know. So if we've attached to the house, especially post-pandemic, how do you reattach people back in? One of the biggest things that happened was you were told that this space, this office, it's dangerous. It can kill you and your family. Don't come in. You might even come back and there's an X on a seat next to you. You're like, I am not sure I want to go in. And what happened? We went to a few universities in the US to specifically answer this question. And we asked them, so what's going on? Why do so many people feel like they rather stay at home? And they called it specifically, where we got the title from, they call it place attachment theory. And basically what happens is, post-pandemic, if an organization didn't change the way that they were or the way that they were working, and you had to come back in and you didn't feel safe, you didn't reattach to the office. You stayed attached to your home. So if there was no way that it was created in a way to go, you're safe here, you're going to be connected, you're going to have all the supporting things you need. There's going to be a hook on your desk for your gym bag or your handbag. You're going to have all the supporting things. You're going to sit with your team. It's going to be really, really well suited to you. If that wasn't designed back in, when you moved back into the office, then you stayed attached to your home. So designing that in, and for any designers that's creating environments that will be flexible, so when people are in the office 3 days or less, that's a critical thing you have to get right. How do you create an environment that makes people feel like I'm attached? I know exactly where my team is. Even though it's flexible address, I'm going to feel like, wow, I love being in this environment. Great question. Thank you very much. Next question. Anyone? Ooh. Oh, yeah, right next to it. Thank you so much. Go for it.
Oh, thank you, by the way. Thank you. I just ask you one question.
Please.
Like, right now we have a problem like international stress, international lonely.
Yes.
And I'm also actually working at home most of the time.
Yes.
So is there an idea or like advice you can give us? Like, how can we fix it, the international lonely?
The international kind of, would you just
Lonely. I mean, everyone, you know.
Loneliness.
Yeah, loneliness. Sorry, my
yes.
accent.
Oh, that's so good.
I mean, I'm saying like the work, when everyone asks you, how are you? You will say, I am okay, but you're not okay. You know, you have so many things in your mind and nobody knows you what's your inside.
And that's,
and
I'm so happy you said that.
Yeah, work, it's like, I'm sorry, I make long, I apologize.
No, perfect.
But it's just, I'm asking you that question, like, how can we fix it, this lonely things? Because if you ask it the ChatGPT or the information, they were going to give you some, you know, smart answers. But you need the human, you know. Sorry.
You are absolutely 100% right. So how do we eliminate the loneliness? How do we ensure that we actually feel connected to others? And this is one of the biggest issues. I'm in a team where we are completely global. So it is crazy. I might have a London office, and I try and go in as much as I can because I travel so much, but our team spends a lot of money to ensure everyone from around the world gets quality time together. So there's 2 separate chunks in the year that will have a whole week together because the value that's created, the trust, the conversation, the extra things that flow that when you get time together is really important. Now to top that up, there's a lot of like little tricks that people do. We do something called a donut. And a donut break is, for us that travels a lot, we've connected leaders in the organization from all over the organization and team members, and it's like a roll of the dice. It comes up with someone's name every week and says, do you want to spend 30 minutes with this person? And you can talk about anything, social, work, whatever you like. But you might get the CEO, you might get a colleague, you might get an operations person, and just having that different perspective or that different conversation hugely adds value. One of the great things we have to understand is flexible working is fantastic. It gives people opportunity, specifically women more opportunity to come into work roles, which is great, but we have to try and ensure that we get people connected. And I would specifically say for any company, if you're starting out with a new team or a new team member, make sure for the first at least 2-3 weeks, they're highly engaged face-to-face with everyone because it changes how you work in the future. Now my big question, do we have time for another question? One more. We got one more question right in the front.
I have.
Oh, yes. Oh, there we go. Please.
Thank you for your presentation.
My pleasure.
And for your speech. If you are working at the office most of the time, of course, you need a comfort
Yes.
for the space, because if you exclude the time at the sleeping time at home, you are maybe spending much more time at the office, and you need a comfort for it. But if we increase the comfort in the office, of course, it can increase the productivity. But too much comfort can cause lazy. People can become lazy for it. So what do you think the border of comfort in the office?
Oh, that's a really good question. I have an example of a really big tech company that made the office so good that they had an issue with people not leaving. So they started paying staff to actually take team members and go stay in a hotel in the same city and go do and watch a show just so they can get them out and engage with others. There is a balance that we need to get right. In most instances, there isn't enough. In most instances, the comfort elements is what gets kicked out first. Oh, we're slightly growing. We didn't think we would grow over the next 2 to 3 or 5 years. Of course you were going to grow. And now let's get rid of all the comfort and put in more desks. So comfort is extremely, extremely important. If you're lucky enough to be in a space where there's too much comfort, appreciate that for the time being because it doesn't normally last very, very long. On that note, I think that's going to be it. Oh, one more. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a question about how MillerKnoll works with architectural firms.
Yes.
So when we make architectural office projects,
Yes.
we worked with the office team.
Yeah.
And first we select a team from the office, and also there are some strategic planning firms. There are external firms, and there's with a methodology we work together, and maybe 1, 2, 3 days. First, before planning, first there are lots of questions that they answer. All the team, for example, 400 people, everybody answers some questions, and after that the team comes. They work on some what they like, what they don't like. So they need a car place, parking place, lots of things like you explained before. Everything about also their psychology and everything. And in the third stage, we make the answers of these, makes 1 or 2 more strategies that we should go from this way or this way. So after that, we understand how we can design and we can begin. But always external firms, strategic planning firms, we work with them together. As MillerKnoll, so you are explaining this as a member of MillerKnoll, and
Yes.
I can see that it's a very professional looking.
Yeah.
So, as architectural firms, when we come to MillerKnoll,
What is available to
who
you?
is the strategic team?
Oh, that's
What
fantastic.
are you
we
doing?
have a, we have a large strategy team, which is fantastic. What we do is we do planning ideas.
Together, yeah.
We do planning ideas. We supply planning ideas. We got so much of that. It's incredible. We also help on larger projects with the full strategy, if there's a large enough projects, and we do that through our dealers, our local dealers, through that relationship. And then we provide that additional support for conversations around what does change management look like for you? What does workplace strategy do? But we do that on a case-by-case basis. For everything else, we provide for free. All the best research in the world on any one of these topics right now, you can find on our YouTube channel. Pick any one you want right now. If you want to see the future of AI, if you want to know how you're going to implement that, how you're going to work with it, it's all available online. So if you want to know even more, come have a conversation with us. I'm going to be at the MillerKnoll stand. Happy to expand on that. On that note, I'm going to have to finish. I've overrun. Thank you all for your time. I really appreciate it. I'm going to take a quick video of all of you, if that's okay. Let me just do this. Quick one. If I can ask for another quick applause. Thank you. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.